I never thought an ordinary Tuesday would turn into something that would change the way I saw myself, my friendships, and the unexpected power of kindness. My name is Emily Carter, and I live in Denver, Colorado. Life here is busy, with people rushing through downtown streets, cars honking in traffic, and the Rocky Mountains standing tall in the distance, reminding us all to slow down once in a while. But slowing down wasn't something I did often. Between work, errands, and trying to keep up with everything around me, I often felt like I was just going through the motions. That morning had started off just like any other. I grabbed my coffee, rushed out of my small apartment, and nearly tripped on the sidewalk because I was reading emails on my phone while walking. The world outside was alive with the smell of freshly baked bagels from the cafe nearby, and the crisp fall air was filled with the sound of leaves crunching under people's feet. I headed toward my office, prepared for another long day of meetings. What I didn't know was that someone from my past was about to step back into my life. Someone I hadn't seen in years. It all started when I stopped by a local bookstore during my lunch break. I love books, and sometimes I go there just to clear my head. The warm light, the smell of coffee mixed with old pages, and the quiet atmosphere always gave me peace. I walked through the aisles, trailing my fingers across the covers, when I suddenly froze. Standing by the fiction section was a face I hadn't seen since college. Ryan Mitchell. Ryan and I had been friends back at the University of Colorado. We met in our sophomore year during a group project and quickly became close. He had this easygoing nature that made people feel comfortable, and his laugh was something you couldn't ignore. It was genuine, warm, and contagious. But after graduation, life took us in different directions. I stayed in Denver for work, while he moved to Chicago. Over time, as often happens, we lost touch. But now, right in front of me, he stood holding a book in his hand, looking almost exactly the same as I remembered. Just a little older, a little wiser, but still with that familiar smile that could light up a room. I almost didn't know what to say. But then he turned, his eyes met mine, and in an instant he recognized me. "Emily?" he said, almost in disbelief. "Ryan." I replied, my voice a mix of shock and joy. We both laughed, that kind of awkward, surprised laugh people do when they're caught off guard by life's coincidences. It felt surreal, standing there after so many years, suddenly face to face with someone who once meant so much to me. The conversation flowed easily, as though no time had passed at all. We caught up quickly. He was back in Denver for a work project and would be staying for a couple of months. I told him about my job, my life, and how the city had changed over the years. Before we knew it, an hour had passed. "Would you like to grab a coffee?" Ryan asked. Normally, I might have hesitated. My days were so scheduled, so full, but something inside me said yes immediately. We walked to a small cafe just down the street. The kind with little round tables, soft music playing, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. Sitting across from him, I realized how much I had missed having someone like Ryan in my life. He listened carefully, asked thoughtful questions, and made me laugh. Really laugh, something I hadn't done in a while. Over the next few weeks, we started meeting up often. Sometimes it was for lunch, sometimes dinner, and sometimes just a walk around the city. We reminisced about old college memories, late-night study sessions, football games, even the time we got lost on a road trip and ended up camping under the stars. But we also talked about who we were now, the challenges we'd faced, the lessons we'd learned. One Saturday, Ryan invited me to join him on a short hike in the foothills. The day was clear, the sky bright blue, and the crisp mountain air made everything feel alive. As we walked, I realized how natural it felt being around him. We weren't trying to impress each other. We were just ourselves. At one point, we reached a lookout point where the entire city stretched out below us. Ryan turned to me and said, "You know, sometimes I think life brings people back together for a reason." His words stuck with me. I didn't know what that reason was yet, but I could feel something shifting inside me. Over time, his presence in my life reminded me of things I had forgotten, like how important it is to slow down, to share moments with people, to appreciate connections instead of always rushing ahead. He brought a sense of ease into my busy world, and it made all the difference. There was one evening in particular I'll never forget. I had a really tough day at work, and everything seemed to go wrong. I came home exhausted, ready to just collapse on the couch. A little later, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, there was Ryan, holding a bag of takeout and a smile on his face. "I thought you could use some company," he said. It was such a simple gesture, but it meant more than he could know. That night, we ate Chinese food straight from the cartons, laughed over silly stories, and for the first time in a long time, I felt completely at ease. As the weeks turned into months, I realized just how much I valued his presence. I didn't expect him to show up in my life again, but I was so glad he did. Looking back now, I see it wasn't just about reconnecting with an old friend. It was about remembering that sometimes, life surprises us in the best ways. That even when we think our routines are set, our paths decided, someone can walk back into our world and remind us of joy, laughter, and the beauty of connection. Ryan eventually returned to Chicago, but not before we promised to stay in touch this time, and really mean it. And we have. Calls, texts, visits when possible. The bond we rekindled continues to remind me that the most meaningful moments often come when we least expect them. So, whenever I think about that random Tuesday and how an ordinary stop at a bookstore changed everything, I smile. Because life may not always follow our plans, but sometimes, it gives us exactly what we didn't even know we needed.